Jen here from Jen Michelle Coaching, and today I want to talk about how to stop being anxious and worrying all the time. This is a question I receive from a lot of women. The challenges around just turning the mind off and getting the focus on other things rather than just feeling consumed with relationship issues, dating issues, love issues, whatever it is in any area of your life that's just occupying too much egoic space in your head, how to turn that voice off and really start connecting to a deeper sense of ease that you hold within. For those of you new to my channel, I would love to invite you to subscribe. I release a new video Sundays of each week. So let's get started. Number one, observe your ego's involvement. If we start watching our ego and we start noticing all of the ways it is continuously prompting us and robbing us of our peace, we can start to note all of the really interesting stories it's creating and all of the nonsense that it's spewing for us to be worried about all the time. And if we are constantly responding to it, it just becomes more and more active and further down the rabbit hole we go. And so it's really important to just start to notice the different predicaments and scenarios it starts to create and just watch it and notice none of this has happened yet. I'm literally making a lot of these, different possibilities up, and none of them are true. And so we start to notice on a deeper level how we're prepping for something that hasn't even occurred, or we're going into that fight, flight, or freeze where we are preparing ourselves for the absolute worst case scenario. And instead, I invite you to ask yourself, how can I redirect some of these thoughts? Because none of these things have happened, and I am literally making up stories that I'm then feeling the emotions in my body on a very deep, visceral level, and then wanting to do something as a result of them, which usually leads to something regrettable because we're not in a neutral space. We're wanting to do something based off of everything we've built up inside of us, based off of the stories that we're allowing our egoic mind to create, going deeper and deeper into just really indulging what doesn't ultimately serve the way we want to feel. Number two, if you are new to this concept, or if you're new in terms of practicing being in your feminine energy, often when we start this concept of relaxing our mind and giving ourselves permission to not worry and to start to connect to a more peaceful state, it can feel very foreign. And so when we feel that sense of calm, it almost triggers the ego to start talking again, because we're so used to having the mind occupied in that way. So it can feel really foreign and really strange to suddenly feel like there's nothing to think, overthink, or worry about, because we have not trained our minds and our bodies to feel safe in that regard. And so most people are, really in that mode of feeling like a headless chicken, just rushing throughout their day, putting out one fire to put out the next fire, and so on and so forth. Usually the day is very busy, and by the time they get home, they're completely exhausted. And if we are allowing the ego or that inner critic in us to crack the whip so hard, then we are in that constant stress state, which of course only creates more chaos and chatter. And so what I would invite you to do, if this sounds remotely familiar, is to start practicing taking little breaks throughout the day where you are consciously reminding yourself to give yourself 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it may be, to just sink into the body, get out for a walk, do something where you are giving yourself permission to not be in constant action mode and constantly responding to that internal sort of, critic who's pushing you harder to do more, do it faster, do it better, all of those things that we respond to, because then by the time we get home, we have a very hard time turning that off. And so of course we're going to start letting that leak into other areas of our life, like a relationship, where we don't know how to do it because we don't practice it in any other area of our life. And so it becomes that much harder to apply when it comes to love, which of course is one of our deeper triggers. And so we have to be able to do it in those areas of life that are very routine, so we can really develop this ability to cultivate how we want to feel and where we want to send our thoughts. Number 3, create structure for this throughout your day and make playtime part of that structure. Our subconscious craves play, and it's really the loving and kind thing to do for ourselves. Often we will associate play with, taking a break or being irresponsible, but I invite you to look at play in a different way. It's necessary for us to thrive and to feel our best. And so when you're thinking about everything you have to do in a given day, making sure that you're setting play as part of that time so you can connect to you and you can start to get underneath that ego current and see what's underneath, which is your inner child who's just craving to play, to be in the moment, to connect, and to just feel a deeper sense of ease. But if we don't check this, the ego will constantly disrupt it, and we will feel that undercurrent of dis-ease in so many aspects of our life, where we'll be doing something enjoyable, but then we still hear that track playing, reminding us that there's something else to worry about after or later, or a potential threat or scenario that really just robs us of being in and connected to that innate joy and ease that we all hold within us. And so if we start to adapt a practice where we are carving out time to exist in this way, to just be, to just play, to just allow, to just be in body and allow the mind to just settle, we can start to tell our ego that it's okay, that it's safe, that we don't have to worry about anything right now. And we start to grow this beautiful depth and spaciousness within ourselves. So then when it comes to men and dating, it's so natural. We're not trying it for the first time when we're with a man. We're trying it, in our lives in all capacities. And so it starts to translate a lot more smoothly and fluidly when you apply it to higher stakes situations like love and intimacy, where, we're being asked to be more vulnerable and face more of our stuff. So I hope that these 3 tips are so helpful to you in any stage of love that you may be in right now. I would love to invite you to check out my site, jenmichellecoaching.com. I do have my Attract Him Forever group waiting list back up. I invite you to check that out. And if you're feeling called, to sign up on the wait list to be notified when we open up the next cohort. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all soon.